What's up, guys? How is everyone doing today? It is July 28th, Tuesday, 10:15 a.m. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. Hopefully, you guys are coming off another great weekend. Hopefully, you're responsible with your earnings and you're ready for a new week. So, we turned the page. Our live stream yesterday covered the weekend that was dating back to last Tuesday with a Japanese card and finishing with Zuffa. Today, I spent the last few hours watching, just rewatched the Tevin Farmer William Zepeda fights. They were close. I did think Zepeda edged them. I just rewatched Roach and Tank, and then Roach and Pitbull. And it's going to be an interesting fight. It's really hard for me not to take Zepeda at plus money based off of styles alone. And we have a lot to get into. That's going to be the marquee fight of the weekend. That's on the Golden Boy card. Our boy, Cleveland, Ohio's own Charles Conwell is back. I'm excited to see him. He's fighting Paul Kroll. I think there's great value on the money line for Conwell. I've already smashed him on a parlay. Guys, if you're not in our Discord, we're approaching 600 JSB insiders as we speak. It's a couple bucks to join. You can either join here on YouTube or Patreon. Whichever way you join, you get access to the Discord. I'll keep the link pinned. August 1st, so 3 days, we will have our 1-year birthday. We started the Discord last August, and it's turned into quite the community filled with very insightful, well-researched boxing fans, but also I want to give a shout out to the boxing bettors. I got into this content creation as a boxer, boxing fan, boxing coach, and it was only when I started the Discord that I started calling myself a boxing bettor, somebody who understands the betting side of things, not just picking winners, but understanding fully in depth the lines, the leans, the edges, all that good stuff. And our results speak for themselves. But I do want to shout out to some of you bettors, you true blues, who kind of talked me into showing my tips, showing my slips week in and week out. So without both sides of the community, I would have never started the Discord. So JSB Insiders, we up. There are a few tickets that are live. If you go to our YouTube members only section, I've currently posted. You can find these on Patreon as well, guys. I currently posted our boxing quad, which is, and all these tickets are going to be plus money. A 4-leg boxing quad pays plus 104. I also posted a UFC triple that pays plus 137. I have my UFC dog locked and loaded at plus 128. And I have my boxing dog locked and loaded at plus 140. I will share the dogs tomorrow, just to let you know. Also, if you're playing along, our quarterly parlay from June, July, and August, we have 2 fights left. That's plus 531. That's live. And then our July-August parlay that pays plus 851. It's a 12-leg. It has about 4 fights left. That's live. And we're coming off our last quarter's parlay at plus 800, which hit. And we're coming off 3 really successful weeks in a row. I don't like just saying 3 weeks in a row because I look at the bigger picture. This has been the best year. I know you guys just met me this year in terms of sharing the bets, but this, maybe it's because of the film study. It's definitely because of our community. It's definitely because I'm watching more things a little bit with a little bit different an eye. I've never made more money in my life betting on boxing, which is great, and I bet on the UFC. So hopefully you're doing well. And we're going to pull up the odds in a second. Don't be afraid to deposit some of that money. Don't be afraid to withdraw some of that money. And let's get into this. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to say what's up to the chat. All right. Youngin, Moonshot in the house. Appreciate you. Member for 6 months. I love how YouTube does this for me. YouTube keeps track of how long the boys have been part of the team. This dude adds so much value to our Discord. I do want to mention, if you are a member on Patreon and you're a VIP on YouTube and you're not in the Discord, email me. You need the Discord link, okay? Discord's a free app. You just download the app, and then I'll send you the VIP link. And it's full-on professional sports betting academy. I'm the figurehead of the boxing space. We got people in the MMA space. We got baseball sharps. Shout out to Boxing Fan. Baseball sharps. My other bread and butter is college football. College football starts next month. You guys know I'm a diehard Ohio State Buckeye fan. That's where I come from. I win a lot of money betting on college football, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So get in the Discord. And next month, we're going to see a lot of these member for 1 year. We'll know who the OGs are, right? King of Fitness, still man down. You were right, Spence. Look, King, King, you're my boy. I got your college football jersey in my spare room. You know, King's my boy. King and I, we were at odds with Errol and Tim, and I felt I was in my breakdowns of Errol all week. I was coming at it from a logical perspective. I know true blue Errol fans were thinking I was being disrespectful, because sometimes the truth hurts in terms of logic. When I was saying things like, King, I got to be honest with you, bro. I felt it was very, and this is why I was spamming our group and my Instagram with footage of Errol training, because I was just saying what I see as a coach and as a guy who, started boxing when I was 7. There's certain things that you look for in terms of angling, in terms of punching, in terms of pauses, in terms of footwork. And the comment sections were absolutely insane, delusional in not admitting that Errol didn't look good. The content creators were gaslighting you bettors into saying he looked good. No Limit Promotions, PBC, the Zone would show Errol hitting the pads with Ronnie, saying Errol looks great. And then I'm sitting there like, people are going to lose millions of dollars betting on Errol. So, hopefully you didn't bet too much. Even the video I did, I broke down the video of the combo he was doing, hitting the pads with Ronnie. When he was going uppercut hook combo, he was doing the double jab uppercut. He was going double jab level hook, and there was evident pauses, breaks in his fluidity, which is a telltale sign of neurological damage, to where he and you guys were like, no, he looks good. He's supposed to pause. Ronnie Shields told him to pause. Ronnie Shields is slow, so Errol's pausing. I was like, you guys don't know what you're looking at, dude. There's no pause. There's no way as a body puncher you're going to the body and you're committing here and you're pausing. That's not. There was no sequence. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much more about it because Errol was my guy, and it being there live, I wasn't too far away from the ring. I didn't like seeing him like that. It sucked. I felt weird watching that fight. I did. And Tim didn't look great either. And I felt weird watching Tim too, because you could see some damage on him as well, and how he was hesitating and like how he was reacting to things as well. Like in the first few rounds, Errol would land that overhand from the pocket, and Tim would react in a way that I didn't like. It landed a few times early. Errol was throwing this looping overhand left. And even when he was younger, he never had fat on his punches. Errol's punches always were clean and sharp. And Errol would land it, and then Tim would get hit with it. He'd have his guard high, but he'd get hit with it, and he would stand straight up. And he would kind of freeze a bit in the pocket. And Errol was never able to add to it. But that's what I'm noticing. That's what I didn't like about Tim. Let me know in the comments if you saw that. Also, Tim not having that second level of offense. I did like the Fennec game plan. Be patient rounds 1 and 2, see what Errol's going to give you, and then slowly turn the tempo up. And I thought that was evident. But by rounds 4 or 5, when Tim clearly had the fight in hand on the cards, he would land the jab and then the cross, and then Errol would go high guard and then back up, and we never seen Errol take a step back. You know what I'm saying? He's backing up and he's looking like he's off balance, like I said he was. You could see Errol was off balance in his training videos, and so Tim would just let Errol exit, and he'd be on the ropes and he'd have no second wave. So that tells me what I think was happening there. And people are like, "Oh, Tim carried Errol." I don't think he carried Errol. I think you guys are giving Tim too much credit. Through trauma, through losses, through damage, there are times in a fighter's career where, in the moment of a fight, he knows he wants to punch, but the punches don't come out because there's hesitation, there's a disconnect. So I'm not saying that's kind of what I was seeing from Tim. And, where does Tim go from here? He said he's staying at 160. Maybe he could build on this. It didn't sit right with me. Everything from like the celebration afterwards. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Of course you're going to celebrate if you're Tim and Team Zoo. But like, just as I was critical of the media during fight week, everyone picking Errol in fight week and everyone hyping Errol up, I've been equally critical here locally in Australia for the headlines acting like Tim beat a prime Zoo, or acting like Tim beat a prime Errol. Some of the headlines were like super celebratorial, which I get. He won the fight against a big name, but you got it. Yeah, it kind of didn't sit right with me. Responsible with our winning, never. I don't know how Roach neutralizes the volume. Yeah, so this is something. What's up, Jay? Guys, go follow Jay Knows Boxing. He's a week into his channel. Great channel. He's a JSB insider. I just watched your live stream that you put up yesterday, bro. I loved what you were saying when you were running down the list of fighters and you were talking about it's clearly evident that these guys are showing degradation. And I like where your channel, how you're, the narrative and rhetoric. I think that's going to be your niche, your sort of point of difference is your knowledge to talk to the betters. You're talking to the betters. And Jay was telling his people, our community, the same thing you guys hear me say on the fact that we're not breaking down fights, guys. We're not wagering our hard-earned money, guys, to bet on our favorite fighters. We're wagering our hard-earned money to win. So if you're serious about this, there will be times. If you're new to our team, our community, there will be times in the near future where you're going to find yourself having to bet against your favorite fighter. And I suggest if you find yourself betting because you like the fighter and you're hesitant, you don't always have to bet. Some fight, like if I'm a fan of a fighter and it hasn't happened in a while, I'll take the fight off because I could trick myself too. The last thing I think the longer you're in this game, the more you're able to develop that discipline. The good ones like us, our group, we win consistently. We don't bet emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Like you could bet against guys that you like because you're betting financially. Once you remove the emotions from it, you don't crumble in a conversation. You don't break down in a debate. You don't take a guy because you dislike Mexican fighters. You don't take a guy because you don't like Philly fighters. You know what I'm saying? You're in that groove of like, we're just out here winning. We're just out here eating. We're up. And Jay, that keep doing what you're doing, bro. Keep making content. Terry Lance, shout out to Terry, former pro. Bud's Camp. I got to go with Zepeda. Dude is a beast, and Roach Jr. doesn't do well with southpaws. In fact, yeah. So Terry, man. So Terry's comment here is similar to what I'm sure Tommy Randone. Tommy was in my ear a couple weeks ago when the odds dropped, and he said something similar. He was talking about Roach's, how he deals with southpaws, but also when you're looking at traditionally the volume and the fight that Roach looks good at versus the fight that Roach doesn't look that great at. Zepeda, man, he throws double the volume, averages about 90 to 100 punches per round. He's longer. It says Roach has like an inch reach advantage, but Zepeda's gonna be a little bit taller. Zepeda, he's a lot to deal with, man. His only loss is to Shakur Stevenson. He has, a high knockout to win ratio, but he's more of a swarmer. He's not really a one punch guy. But if you come in unprepared against Zepeda and you don't have that sort of power to get Zepeda's respect, he's not going to stop. Now, Shakur fought Zepeda like brave. Like Shakur stood his ground against Zepeda. And, I love seeing that side of Shakur. And Shakur's obviously, there's only one of Shakur who's that defensively sound, but has that great of hand speed and has that great of a fight IQ. People don't talk about his punch placement enough. People don't talk about his control, his countering enough. Everybody thinks about Shakur as just being this defensive guy, but Shakur does a lot of things brilliantly on the offensive side as well. So he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. And I don't want to say Zepeda in that fight never really looked out of depth. It's hard to, obviously how do you look good against a guy like Shakur Stevenson? I don't think Roach is Shakur Stevenson, and you got to think Zepeda's gonna want to level up. It's a Golden Boy card. Keep that in mind as well. Zepeda's plus money as well for you bettors. Like I said, how I started this, it's really tough to not take that plus money. But, some of the smart guys I know, like Terry, like Tommy, guys who've been in the ring at a professional level, you want to listen to these guys when they talk about stylistic matchups. You want to listen to these guys when they talk about sort of like the technical breakdown of fighter A versus fighter B, what fighter A is good at versus what fighter B struggles with, that sort of thing. And Terry's the second pro that I know in my, talking about this exact thing. So currently, it's good to see Conwell back. I'm going to get into all the fights real quick. Since we're on Zepeda, I'm going to play both sides of the coin real quick for whatever side, because this is going to be, and we've had a few of these week after week, which is great for our community and great for the chat. This will be a fight that divides the Discord. People will, it's fine. People will bet on Lamont because they like Lamont. People will bet on Zepeda because they like Zepeda. People will bet on Zepeda because he's Mexican, and they won't bet on Zepeda because he's Mexican. This is the casual. You guys know I'm not telling you anything that isn't unknown. Here, race has nothing to do with the best sport on earth. We only deal in outcomes. We only deal in experience and film study, and we deal in making money. So when you break this fight down, if you're on Lamont Roach's side, you got to think as a bettor. If you see something in film that you like him, 64% return is great. If you got a big bankroll and you think that Lamont is going to edge him and be a little bit too classy and be able to add on and take the blueprint that what Shakur laid out and think that Lamont can mimic that, and you have a big bankroll, 64% return is great. You're putting 10 grand on that, you're getting 6,400 back. It's a great return. Now, if your bankroll is a little bit more modest, 64% return is a great parlay piece. You just find one more bet, one more fight. You take Roach, maybe add Conwell on the money line. You're at plus money. That's how I would deal with it. Personally, I really like Zepeda on the money line at plus 140 right now. And the way I bet historically, you guys know, I like using strategy. If I'm taking a guy at plus money, there's something that I like, I'm going to just go full unit on the plus money, not get sexy, not pick method of victory, and just take the point, take plus 140. So that's how I see it. That's how strategically I would play it on both sides of the coin. We know that people like being sharp about it. People are going to ask me all week, how do you see it going? I think that a lot of people are going to instantly say whatever side of the coin you're on, it's on points. I could see a world where Zepeda might, like this, the stoppage for Zepeda could be live. It could be. I'm not going to sell out on that yet, but that's kind of my take there. Mags, we up. Johnny, it's Mac. We already debated Roach versus Zepeda. Put your money where your mouth is and go heavy on some. Hey, yeah, we bought it. We bought it. I think so. I think that's where I'm at. We have all week to debate. It's still Matt. Who you taking and why? All right. O'Leary beating an old watch Maxie Hughes doesn't mean a damn thing. Chamberlain is live. Chamberlain is the first young power puncher O'Leary's faced. Yeah. See, it just comes down to what you like when you watch both guys. I like O'Leary's energy. I like what you said, Jay brought up some good points on his live stream. He talked about he brought about the brought up the Irish culture, which is true. The Irish fan base. He was talking about the Puerto Rican fan base. And he was using comparisons about how certain parts of the world, the boxing fans are starving for an A side. The boxing fans in certain parts of the world are starving for a champion. And sometimes you see guys will get pushed and moved along because of that alone. Now, I know Julius is leaning, from what I'm reading, Chamberlain. You think that O'Leary this might be the case with O'Leary. I like O'Leary's energy that he brings in and out of the ring. I like his training. I like his camp. I like what he's looked like so far as a pro. I think he's a tidy pro. Chamberlain, for me, then we have to talk about the fight is in O'Leary's backyard. He is the A side. I'm gonna have to be convinced. I gotta, maybe you come on if you want to come on the live stream. I'll drop a link because I'm never against being talked out of a bet. It's just when I'm watching Chamberlain's tape, I don't know if he has that gear to be able to travel in as a B side and beat O'Leary. I don't know if he has that in him. 55-45 Zepeda, I can see it. Honestly, I can see Roach versus Zepeda ending up like Shakur versus Zepeda, but Roach having more power. By the way, I became a member for the Patreon. Hey, Galvin, what's up, buddy? Yeah, like Roach has great timing, great counter. You think Roach has more power than Shakur? It sounds like a crazy thing to say because people would say Shakur can't punch. Shakur's punch, we haven't really seen the power manifest. We can't count Josh Padley. He probably, at 126. Where did he fight Jamel? 26 or 30? So both guys, it's fair to say both guys rely a lot on their timing. And we know the timing creates speed, speed creates power. I think, the argument should be who has more power, Roach versus Shakur, because they both have different styles and they obviously both do things way differently. The thing about Zepeda is his style is unmatched as well. He is a master of that swarming pressure style, but he's throwing a lot of punches and he could punch too, though. So we've seen Roach. I just think, man, in a lot of close rounds, the judging, we got to think about this, guys. You just got to ask yourself. So if you think Roach is going to have the power, so you like Roach to catch Zepeda coming in and hurt him and stop him. I see it more that there's going to be a lot of close rounds and Zepeda's optics are going to be a little bit better than Roach's. He's going to be doing a little bit more. And I think he's going to edge a lot of close rounds. Julius is Chamberlain live. Or you think he wins? So Julius likes Chamber on the money line. What's up, Barlos? Hey, Johnny, what do you think of the whole situation with Devin? What do you think of the whole situation with Devin, Shakur not fighting happening because of Keyshawn? Then Keyshawn now saying he's moving on. About your boy Barlos, I got to be honest with you, man. I used to care a lot about this a couple years ago. I used to, like, I'd be the content creator a couple years ago. This is before we've really evolved as a betting community. I was the guy who would, screenshot Twitter interactions and do videos about like the up-to-date goings-on of the shit talk between Tank, Ryan, Shakur, Dev, Raleigh. At this stage of the game, I don't give a shit about it. You know what I'm saying? My mind is solely focused on the week in front of us. My mind is solely focused on the matches that are taking place. My mind is solely focused on us winning money. So I do know that Raleigh has a fight coming up with Teo, and I think a lot of people are underestimating Raleigh, and I'm waiting for those odds to drop because I think we might get some good value on Raleigh. And so yeah, that's my take on that. And no shade against this list. We know they're all world class. I'm a fan of all these guys. Every time they fight, I tune in. But in terms of my take on the maneuvering, the business side of things, the posturing, I could care less at this point, big dog. My only concern for Chamberlain is we got to talk about it, Jay. So if you're a bettor out there, and so then you take Chamberlain, if you are concerned about the Irish judging, who is the kid from Boston? who came though to Ireland to fight Mick Conlan. And they didn't give Mick, they sent Mick. Sometimes in boxing they send you to retirement. We saw this with another guy in the UK, Josh Taylor, when he fought Abbas. So that's not always the case. Sometimes boxing forces guys out. I think with Pierce O'Leary being young and fresh, if your hesitation is that in a close fight they're going to lean Pierce, then you can only feel comfortable taking Chamberlain if you feel that he's going to have a couple knockdowns or if he stops Pierce as a better. Gil, good work this weekend, Gil. Behind the scenes stuff. Good work this week. I like how you handled that. Way to step up and handle that. That's it. I appreciate you, bro. And only he knows what I'm talking about. He's one of our mods. Logically, Zepeda should win, but I don't know if I can trust him if it goes to the cards. Okay, so you think if it goes to the cards, Roach will have the advantage? It's a Golden Boy card. Yeah, Zepeda's Oscar's guy. Big Goog knockout. We'll wait till we get props. This is Zepeda pick live, or you still have to do more homework? Between me and you, Jerry. Between me and you, Jerry. The jury's out. I just haven't. Look, I'm trying to be a better. There's been times I get a lot of hate from people who don't know me on a social media platform that I don't use, called Twitter or X, for giving our community the reads too early, and then allegedly odds crash. So now what I do, and look, I'm not a mean dude. I'm not mean spirited at all. Like when I see dogs, I usually jump on them early. Like I took Tim Zoo in June, but didn't share it until fight week. I took Zepeda a little while ago. I knew I was going to take Zepeda. I just didn't want to tell anyone. But I just can't. I can't pass Zepeda money line up. And historically, me as a bettor, this is just me as a bettor. When you break down all the fights you've ever bet on, and you're breaking styles down in terms of what, like, I love betting on the Swarmer. Like, I do really well. If it's a really close fight, my philosophy, if it's a guy who has high volume, a Mexican guy, dude, look at this. We're getting a Mexican guy. What's that mean? He's going to be super durable. We know he's a champion caliber guy. We know his only loss is to Shakur. So when I get that guy who's also a volume puncher Swarmer with a high knockout to win ratio versus a guy who's had fights at lower weight classes. I know this fight's at 35 and Roach went up to 40. We've seen him at 30. That's where he pretty much cut his teeth. And I'm getting the Mexican Swarmer, the durable guy, the taller guy at plus money. Come on, dude. There's no way. You're talking about a live dog here? If you ask me, that is the definition of a live dog. So yeah, I'm on Zepeda. Zepeda would be the favorite if the fight was made a few years ago, so I'm not sure whether the bookies have Roach. I think the bookies have Roach because what have you done for me lately? We haven't seen Zepeda since a loss. So I think some of these lines they originate on recency bias. We know that Roach is coming off some draws. A draw he looked great in against Tank, which it could be debated. It should or could have gone his way if the knockdown would have been counted. The draw against Pitbull. And so Zepeda's last fight over a year ago, a loss to Shakur, so that sort of thing. And we know from our experience as a team, the bookies get it wrong all the time. Guys, wherever you are in the world, we're 30 minutes in. We got 82 people in here on a Tuesday morning. Tuesday, July 28th, 10:45 a.m. here in Sydney. JSB Insiders, hands down, the smartest community out. No shade to anyone else, but man, go to our Discord. Check out the film study going on right now. Check out the notes being shared right now. Check out the plays being shared, the leans being shared. I learned just as much from the boys in there than anywhere. I learned just as much from you guys than you learned from me. And that's the definition of an educated community. The event was so good, even with 2 fights. Yeah, the event live was amazing. Youngin lives in Sydney. Youngin and I were at the event. I couldn't link up with you, bro, because I was in this sort of nook area down, close, and it was like I'm kind of like at the fights. I don't like getting up. I get a bit social anxiety as well. Like I get a little. So I'm glad you had a good time. That the Callum Peters fight was my favorite. The Paulo Acuso knockout was freaking electric. And Youngin, because you were there, you could attest to this, and I think Boss Christos might have been there too. It was like a jolt into everybody because after the 7th round, I thought Akuso was not. I thought he wasn't going to get up off the stool. I thought his dad should have stopped the fight. He was out on his feet, getting hit clean, and then he had a second win, dude. And shout out to Akuso because that loss could have derailed his career, and he dug freaking deep. That Colombian was tough, and he had to dig deep, found a second gear, and when he found that knockout punch, bro, and Youngin can attest to this, I've been to a lot of fights. I was there in Atlantic City when Pavlik knocked out Jermaine Taylor. That was only in front of like 5,000 people at Boardwalk. I was there when Pavlik knocked out Max Zertuche in Disneyland. I think that was probably 10,000. I was at Ronda Rousey Holly Holm in 2015 UFC 193 in Melbourne. That was freaking insane. There was 80,000 there, but I was on like a 2-day bender. I was with my English friends and I hadn't slept. We were partying, so I don't remember the energy. But when Akuso landed that shit, it was like, boom! It was freaking insane. So shout out to Akuso. It was a cool moment. Both favorites, mid-30s. Wallen and Spence lost. Father Time's undefeated. Well, they were favorites. I stayed away from the Wallen fight. Obviously, I took Tim. And then, guys, there were a lot of people in our Discord taking Derevyanchenko. Rightfully so. I just knew that you guys have always heard how I speak of Jaleel Hackett. He's one of my favorite North American prospects. I love his size at 160. I love his style. He's a throwback fighter, TV-friendly fighter, marketable kid. This kid, that style that Jaleel Hackett has, if he keeps winning, polishes up a few things. I like the adjustments he made mid-fight when he was getting caught with the straight right from Derevyanchenko. I think round 4, he started going shoulder high and rolling with it, and it would land, but he was wrong. That was a nice adjustment. Man, keep an eye. Jaleel Hackett. If you don't like that kid, if you don't enjoy watching his fights, you don't like boxing. That kid has the potential with that style, the division he's in at only 23. He could be a star. He could be a star, and they have not matched him easily either. Because I know a lot of people who were taking Derevyanchenko. I wasn't one of them. Shout out to Jaleel. Royce and Barney Smith to KO Bilotti Sharp. I've been on RBS for a while now. He's a fun UK fighter. Bilotti, we've seen the best of Bilotti, mate. And shout out, Bilotti's been in there tough. Like the last 2 years, I feel like if you come to our channel, people would think I'm a Reese Bilotti hater. But he's been getting paired. He's become kind of a domestic sort of British level gatekeeper because we've been winning money on everybody who he's been facing every time Reese fights. It's like it's up against the guy that we always fight, we always take, and Reese is, he's gonna be a good challenge for Royce. Chamberlain is rubbish. O'Leary would probably stop him. He's way better than Rafferty, who's domestic level. Yeah, Mutant. I rate Pierce O'Leary. If you look at our long parlay, our quarterly parlay, I gave a couple parlays away that are still live dating back in June, and I jumped on Pierce as soon as I saw the odds. So I'm on Pierce O'Leary. Tim very hesitant. Yep. Will be hard to convince anyone that Tim can mess with the top 160s. I think Old Man Lara beats Tim. Now, he's still only 31, so what will be interesting and what I will have my eye on and what I hope Team Zoo does is I would give Zoo an Aussie at 160. I would give him a sort of feel-good fight. I wouldn't go straight into the top 10 at 160 because I still want to see if he's capable of finding that second level or is it gone forever? That second level we saw against Gachet, the second level we saw against Harrison, the second level we saw against Mendoza, or is it gone? And sometimes when it's gone, it never comes back. I'd rather see him against somebody in Australia. Because that guy who fought Errol, Lara beats. He does, man. Lara's still at 89 years old is special. Like, my favorite thing about Lara is how he changed his style the older he got. He started moving less, sitting on more shots, throwing more power shots. And that's what I said in my breakdown about Errol. Of all the stuff I said about Errol, not including the degradation stuff that turned out to be spot on, but the things I said about his style, I said his style doesn't age well. Even if he had never got into a car crash, even if he had never been knocked out by Bud, that marauding front foot body punching, take one to give one, bully you, break your spirit, break your will, stuff. It doesn't age well in boxing. That alone doesn't age well. And then I also said that in boxing, and I think this holds true in life as we grow older as men, we tell ourselves a lie. If you look at yourself, like I'm 44, when I look at myself in the mirror and if I see my 21-year-old version self and I think I'm still that guy and I want to be who I was at 21 and move and operate how I did at 21, how will I ever evolve as a 44-year-old? How will I ever elevate and go to the next level of my potential at 44 if I'm still stuck at 21? That's me as a man. Boxing, this happens as well. Think about a guy like Foreman, what he looked like early on in his career, the 10-year retirement, comes back and how he changed his entire style. If he would have come back after the retirement and tried to be the guy he was when he was in his 20s, he would have never became a world champion again late in his 40s. So I did not expect Errol to be able to do that. I was like, the only way Errol's going to have to come and be somebody else. But he's not. Errol's going to be the same exact guy he's always been. The kid in 2012 in the Olympics, the kid in 2017 in Sheffield, England. I was like, that's a trick we tell on ourselves. We lie to ourselves. We have to let that person go if we want to evolve, even as fighters. So Lara did what Foreman did. Lara, without the retirement. Lara, as he aged, adjusted his style. He wasn't trying to be who Lara was when he was in his early 20s. And this is, in my opinion, a secret to success in the fight game, especially if you're in these weight classes such as like junior middleweight, super middleweight, and above, to where you're not so much reliant upon speed and reflexes. You're not a reflex fighter. It's something that I would tell guys, like for Derevianchenko, for instance, super brave fighter. He fought his freaking ass off yesterday. His freaking ass off. But was that the game plan to fight Jalil Hackett, a 23-year-old? When you're turning 41 in October? Is that really the game plan? Because Derevianchenko is a skilled guy. So it's just something to think about. It's what I think about in certain matchups with boxing, depending on where the fighter is in their career trajectory. I'm not fully convinced he loses to O'Leary. In theory, he should lose, but why would Warren build Chamberlain back up just to shove him into a losing fight? Fighters get built back up all the time to lose. A losing fight is going to happen in a career. It's only a handful of guys who don't lose fights. And sometimes guys become legends in losses. Arturo Gatti was already Arturo Gatti before he lost Mickey Ward 1. He had already had that style. But when you saw that style on full display in a loss and how he fought, his legend became immortal. So to combat that statement, in a losing fight isn't always a bad thing. My bad. Roach did beat a southpaw. Hector Luis Garcia split decision. Roach is one of these guys who is in a lot of close fights. There's no overthinking this. Roach by UD. Get him, Kingdom. Chamberlain will have height and reach advantage. Get him, Jay. Chamberlain getting KO. We got some discourse, baby. Need Vada for Zepeda. You think we're getting a Frankie Rodriguez situation here? Some Frankie Rod. How the hell? You know what? I used to be empathetic towards Golovkin, the whole scenario with Frankie Rod. But then the more I sit on it, the more I brought it up in my film study. Go to my Stats Don't Lie video of Golovkin versus Frankie Rod. I said Frankie Rod was coming off a 8-round fight in Texas in which he won, but it got overturned because he failed a drug test. And then a couple months later, Galal Yafai's camp knew about it, and they let him fight him, and he was still on it. And pretty much got his career derailed, that beatdown that Frankie Rod put on him. If I was in charge, I would never allow Frankie Rodriguez to ever box again. I'm sorry. I could be a bit militant about this sort of thing, but in boxing, the slightest illegal advantage could mean death. This is why I have no gray area for the Ryan Garcia fanboys. This is why I have no gray area for even entertaining the fact that he beat Devin. There's no gray area. He tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. It was only a little microfraction. Do you guys know about half-lives of steroids and performance-enhancing drugs? Just because he tested for a little, what did John Jones pop for? What were they calling that? Like the small, a picogram? That doesn't mean he was taking a picogram of gear. That's mean that's all that was left evident during the piss test. Some of this stuff is in and out in 24 hours. Some of this stuff, the half-life is like that. And they have it timed so perfectly to where you take it now, you got drug tested 2 days ago, they won't drug test you another test. There's systems around this. So in the comments section, I can always tell who the casuals are on social media when they Devin got beat up. All right, say you don't like Devin, but you can't say you got beat up because the dude was on steroids. So for me, if you test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, lifetime ban, especially in boxing. In baseball, hey, you're not fighting each other. Tennis, you're not fighting each other. Golf, let the boys do gear. But any sort of physical combat sport to where there's consequences of having CTE, concussions, brain injuries, you test positive, you're no longer allowed to fight as a pro. And so to say Vada needs to test Zepeda, I think that's ignorant, Mutant. I think that's an ignorant take. Because if you know anything about Mexican fighters, if you know anything about elevation, if you know anything about even training in Colorado, American fighters will go to Colorado to the mountains for elevation. Mexican fighters are training above sea level. They're used to it. They're known to be cardio machines. So I think that's just an ignorant take. But especially when has Zepeda ever tested positive for anything? Or maybe I'm tripping. And then I owe Mutant an apology. User, what's up, brother? O'Leary never stopped a young power puncher. Fresh BX in the house. O'Leary knows how to punch these Irish fighters. Now, you guys need to re-up your. I got a whole list of the boys in our Discord who are in there freeloading. I didn't want to put them on blast, but in the live chat, we all Kingdom, mate. Resubscribe, bro. It's like $7, mate. I ain't gonna kick you out of the thing though. The mods might kick you out for freeload, but it's all good. Larry knows how to punch. These Irish fighters know how to get knockouts. I like the Irish kid here. Stevie Cans. I like it. It's a setup parlay piece. Right now, you're getting about 20% return on it. I feel you. Next week, Nakia, McKenna, Walsh. Yeah, I'm just excited to see Aaron McKenna back. We got hype during his last fight. It seemed like so long ago, last April. Not this April, the April before, I think. And at this stage of the game, the how shallow 160 is with all the movement as of late, with like Alam Hunalay. If that kid is legit on gear, testing dirty, like he knocks guys out brutally. Don't let that guy ever fight again. Even though I'm like Janabek, dude, and not to mention how cocky he is talking shit. I watched him flatline a club level guy down here in Sydney on short notice, standing over him talking shit. And then the next fight he pops dirty. It's like, bro. So like Janabek's out. He's at 68 when he comes back. Shiraz is gone. Adamas is gone. Who's holding down 60? You got old man Lara. Ammo's a player at 60, which is interesting. And you guys, I always bet against Ammo, but from what I've seen as of late, sometimes in taking an ass beating like he did against Adamas, sometimes if you're young enough and durable enough and brave enough, sometimes it's good for you. Sometimes it's not. It seems like Ammo's one of those guys that belt to ass beatdown Adamas gave him might be good for him. I think Aaron McKenna is one of those guys that'll be the next face of that division. And I know I'm missing guys off the top. Zepeda by decision already got locked in. And look, De Niro, what's up, G? My only hesitation with Zepeda by decision is my own philosophy because, you know, Zepeda, what if Zepeda stops him? And then we left the dog money on the table. I don't like leaving dog money on the table. It just comes down to that. If I'm going full unit, I'm not leaving dog money on the table, meaning that I'm not going to get sexy about a method of victory play. But I will entertain a method of victory prop parlay when the odds get dropped. Because I think we're going to have props on Charles Conwell versus Paul Kroll. Kroll is a Philly guy. He's a 12-1 guy. He's 31. Conwell, he's a Northeast Ohio kid, USA team kid. We know we haven't seen him since his loss to Chino when he was a 3-1 favorite. He was undefeated, high knockout to win ratio. And it's his get back. It's his get back fight. I expect Conwell to look great. And if he doesn't look great, he's not the guy I thought he was. He has all the skills in the world to look great. He's still young enough. He could crack. He just really showed his sort of lack of world level experience against Chino. I rewatched Rafferty versus Chamberlain. I didn't score it, but I thought Chamberlain won. But honestly, he looked so uncomfortable with the pressure and body shots was hurting him. O'Leary. I agree, Assassin. I rate O'Leary. I like watching O'Leary fight. Raleigh odds have dropped. Let's pull it up. Oh, yeah. Bro. I got to be honest with you. Message below. Comment below, boys. I got to be honest with you. Plus 185, bro. You guys, I think I've always spoken highly of Raleigh Romero. I always said that he's good for boxing. Might not be the most well-rounded guy. The history books will always tell the story of Raleigh being a two-division world champion. I think where they're trending, the confidence, settling into their styles, this fight's at 47. I think Teo's best days were when he was 20 years old, 21 years old, still a great athlete. It's hard to pass up plus 185 on Raleigh. A-side champion, plus money, what he's looked like recently versus what Teo's looked like recently, the psychological trauma of being neutralized and totally fucking domesticated against Shakur, the ghosts of Shakur. I love Raleigh at plus money there, man. Bando, congrats on the fight. Congrats on going to the fight. Proud of that you called it, Tim. The underdog streak continues. Bando boys. Bando boys. Look at that photo you got, bro. Is that cannabis? Oh no, that looks like natural remedies. To me, your photo either looks like natural remedies or the former the former yeah, in me. I'm seeing blow, weed, ecstasy. I think it's just minerals. Teo gonna have a crazy fall off to lose to Raleigh. I don't think so, man. I think you guys are underestimating Raleigh's timing. Raleigh has good timing. He has good power. He has better skills than people think. This is a kid who became a two-division world champion. He was a highly, and you guys might not think this matters, but Raleigh Romero was a really highly regarded judoku in America. And judo is a combat sport. Judo is a solid base for any high-level UFC fighter, any high-level MMA athlete. In judo, you're going to learn leverage. You're going to learn balance. You're going to learn distance. You're going to learn infighting. and one of the reasons I always rated Raleigh because of his judo background. And so he punches hard because he digs down. He knows how to leverage through his hips. He has a really good hook. I think, if Teo comes in psychologically damaged or underestimating Raleigh or think that they're friends or think that he's just going to walk through him because the books say that he's the favorite, I think he's going to have a long night. I could see Raleigh. I actually don't mind this matchup for Raleigh. I got Nika stopping Masson, Floyd Mason. Ooh, is this the Kiwi? Is this David Nika, the kid who got stomped against Jai? Is that fight? Or am I thinking somebody else? Body language, volume, and optics will be, yeah, Pay Dinero. I see that as well. And you got Devin. I thought that was, yeah. You ain't share because of them dudes. I'm trying to be a good dude, Fresh BX. I'm trying to, look, I'm trying to be a good dude. Not necessarily because of them, but I was like, you know what? Some guys in my JSB Discord, when the stuff went down, guys who are part of my community DM'd me in the Discord and they said, "Hey Jay, just to let you know, I don't speak a lot in this group, but I'm a professional bettor. And I saw that you posted that." And he was like, two guys did. And I listened. I don't have an ego about anything. I think that's a sign of being an adult. There's a difference with having belief systems, and there's a difference between being an open mind, lifelong learner. And he was like, he does kind of have a point. If certain odds aren't available everywhere globally and your community and you post them, you might be sort of like, taking money on. And I initially was like, fuck them. I initially was like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about you. But, that's my instinct. Like, I don't give a. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? For like a karmic cause, I don't want to say I'm a hippie, but I kind of used to be. I used to date a girl who would do like a bunch of like Amazonian ceremonies. I've done like ayahuasca before. I've done all that hippie trippy shit, psychedelics, hallucinogens, 15-hour journeys back in the day. I used to have hair down to here. So I get all that. I've grown, I had to evolve. So from like a karma sort of respect to everyone who puts energy in doing what we do, even those who might talk shit about me. That's why. Fresh BX, I totally disagree with you. Boxing, oh, of course, there's nothing better than boxing. 100%. Think about the journey of a crazy fight. Think about the storyline of Berlanga versus Butler. That storyline is crazy. The ebbs and flows of everything that happened in that fight. You only see that in boxing. What's up, Wisher? I gotta be honest with you, bro. Thank you for commenting. I don't recognize you, but if you're here and you never comment, I appreciate your support. I still have PTSD from that first fight, bro. Like, I'm not. The boys know I'm a cowboy. I'll stand 10 down on business. I don't flip flop. I put all my stuff out there. So if I'm putting something down on a fight, I'm also putting the content out, and I leave myself open to critique, which is great. I know what I'm getting myself into. I very rarely will ever say I don't believe in no bets. I don't believe in no bet lists. I don't believe in guys I don't bet on, because I'm like, if I'm going to make a no bet list and that fighter is fighting, then why not bet against him? Doesn't that make sense? Isn't that a lean? Isn't that an edge? But that fight, and the JSB Discord will agree, bro, that first fight, it was a beautiful weekend. It was going from the seasons were changing here in Sydney, fall into winter, multiple fight cards, everything hit, props were hitting, dogs were barking, the boys were dancing, champagne was popping, cats were getting along, people were getting invited to cookouts, we were barbecuing, and all we needed All we needed was Callum Simpson on the money line at like 5-1. And he runs out of gas and gets the brakes beaten off of him late against Troy. I'm that's still not many fights leave a mark. Caleb Plant getting his ass beat against Armando Resendez still leaves a mark. Callum Simpson losing to Troy Williamson is on the top of my leave a mark list. That's about it. I know people were salty about Dave Morrell, but Morrell I only had on one take. I had Callum. This was in the days of me still figuring my strategy out. Of like, if I'm taking a guy who's $1.14, I might as well just put him on every parlay. I don't do that shit anymore because of him. So in a way, I should thank Callum Simpson for the lesson. But this is all a learning process for me of like strategy. And so, yeah, him versus, if anything, I'm going for Troy based off of spite. Roach beats Zepeda by countering him. Roach beats Zepeda by countering him. Zepeda has been dropped before and has been caught with counters multiple times by lower level opponents. Roach is an elite boxer. I think Zepeda is elite. He froze Tank with his timing and counter punching. I think Roach can handle Zepeda's volume by making him pay with counters. I think it's a totally different style. Tank stood in the middle of the ring, not punching, not moving, not doing anything against Roach. Roach did look great with his catching counters. He was great that night. That's my favorite Roach fight. I'm a Roach fan. But like I said, I don't think he's going to have enough to get past Zepeda. Yeah, Tevin Farmer. People sleep on Farmer. Dude, good to see Farmer back. Farmer fought 2 months ago for the first time after getting knocked out against Floyd Schofield. What is Floyd Schofield doing, guys? What are we doing? He not one punch knocks out a former world champion, then disappears. What do we do? Auntie Schofield. Auntie Schofield, if you're out there listening, where's Floyd? Why isn't he fighting? Is he injured? Am I missing something? I totally forgot he existed. Low level terencecrawford. Yeah, Tevin's a dog. Tevin's a beast, dude. Tevin Farmer has a lot of those sort of Emmanuel Augustus losses. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those B-side losses because you're not the promotion's A-side and you get into these 50-50 fights and you lose a decisions you should have won. So his record looks a bit misconstrued. But there's a lot of close decisions that I thought he won that they said that Farmer lost. Augustus, the same thing. I live bet Akuso TKO at 17. Dude, you were live betting in the arena. A, I wasn't getting service, and then B, my phone died. I was so salty. My phone died. But my bets were already. I made my biggest money on the plus 900. I took Akuso by knockout, Callum by knockout, and then Rita on points. Yo, Johnny, brother, you had a wild weekend down under. Yeah, it's crazy. It was busy, man. I'm still not totally recovered. My first client today was at 5 a.m. So Tuesday mornings, I wake up at... Who else was up your time? I wake up only on Tuesdays at 4 a.m. Why? Because the love of the game. I have an online live stream coaching client. He lives in Cleveland, Ohio. And, he needs my help. So today is 11:13 a.m. I've already been up 7 hours. I'm a bit still recovering. I'm not a big drinker, so it's not like I was drunk all weekend. My girlfriend's birthday, I had an old-fashioned. At the weigh-ins, after the weigh-ins, when I saw Boss Christos, I was with one of my clients, and we had a couple after that, but I was in bed early, and at the fights, I had like one drink. So I'm not a big drinker anyway, but sleep is everything at this stage of the game. I don't think he froze Tank, especially not in the way that would translate versus Zepeda. Tank naturally already doesn't throw. Yeah, Tank's a guy who computes a lot and then he uses it against you. I think Roach kind of caught Tank off guard a bit with his timing. I think Tank kind of underestimated Roach a bit as well. And then you mix that with Tank's inactivity, and then talk about a guy who I mean, is there any guy in modern boxing? And this isn't about like, do you love Tank or do you hate Tank? But from a boxing perspective that frustrates you more about a career, his career is turning into, for me, one of these like what ifs. He's already, what is he, 31? What ifs? Not really the resume's good, but not really the resume we thought it could be. Obviously the Ryan knockout ages well. My favorite fight of his was Leo, the Santa Cruz knockout. And that's what kind of Tank makes his money off of. He uses your mistakes against you. How dare Leo go to the well? What was it? 3 straight right hands in a row? He said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just throw three straights in a row." And Tank slipped. Boom, uppercut was gorgeous. And then the Frank Martin. As soon as he saw Frank biting on that feint in the second, he winked at him. He knew he had him. Uh, Ryan Garcia, same sort of thing. Raleigh, let Raleigh come into him. The trap he said. So yeah, they're champion. Yeah, but we thought we'd see Tank versus Shakur, Tank versus Dev. I guess those are the big ones, Tank and Shakur. Just never happened. And at this stage of the game, I stopped caring. I don't, like I said earlier on the live, I could care less. I'm not a matchmaker. I could care less about who they choose to fight. All we care about is what's in front of us as a team. We're going Zepeda this weekend against Roach. I think Zepeda. Yeah, I put Zepeda. I think Zepeda is a level above Pitbull as well. I know Pitbull has a rabid fan base. I've never really jumped on board with the Pitbull love affair. I think if his name was Jim Smith, if Isaac Pitbull Cruz's name was Jim Smith, and would he have that fan base? If Jim Smith was from Davenport, Iowa, I think that it come a lot more. This is why boxing's a beautiful sport, because marketing and nicknames matter, fight styles matter. I don't know, man. I never looked at Pitbull and was like, this guy is like the elite of the elite. I think Zepeda's style is really hard to deal with. What's Shakur's best win? I think Shakur beating Zepeda the way he did. See, that's a good question. Shakur beating the way the way he beat Zepeda, or Shakur beating Teo? Which one was better? I really rate Zepeda. I do. I'm sorry. I've always thought he was. Now, granted, he came onto the international scene with a bit of that Mexican record, sort of like a Jaime Munguia record. But these guys, it's not necessarily just because we don't know who they are. The Mexican club scene, dude, isn't a passover. They're fucking in dogfights, dude. They're honing their craft. They're developing their style, and that style is really tough to deal with. Roach is going to have to be special to beat Zepeda. I got to be honest with you. I'm actually shocked that if Zepeda wasn't coming off a loss and wasn't coming off inactivity, he'd be the favorite. I think Roach is going to have to be special to beat Zepeda. I think Zepeda is going to do what he always does and put it on him. I think he's going to put a pace on Roach, and I think it's a bad comparison. You guys are going to cook me for saying this, but I think it could look like ABJ versus Kenneth Sims Jr. We got Arnold Barbosa Jr. as an underdog, as the A side against Kenny Sims Jr. Remember that. And Kenny was coming off a loss to Duarte. We keep all receipts. Yeah, out here. We keep all receipts out here. So I could see Barbosa Jr. is one of my favorite fighters. I don't care what you guys say. I love a guy who a large mass of the boxing casual fan base hate on. I love a guy like that, because then I could you see how technical, and he's a dog, not the biggest puncher. He put on a master class against Kenny Sims. Kenny Sims is a good fighter. I think Zepeda is going to do the same to Roach. Roach is good though, and Roach, someone said Roach is world class, but I think Zepeda is world class. I do. I think Roach's pace, pressure, size is going to bother him. Or I think Zepeda's pace, pressure, size is going to bother Roach. Tim looked terrible in that fight. He was throwing punches with just his arms instead of generating power from his hips and wasn't rotating his feet. Yeah. The Swindler. It's over there. I'm going to a Texas party. Okay, I'll throw it. I got to show you the new Swindler hat. This shit's hilarious. All right, boys. I'm going to a Texas cowboy party on Friday. It's a dress-up party. So you have to, it's Texas themed. So I got the American cowboy hat. I'm wearing I got a bolo tie. I got cowboy boots. I got a belt buckle. I got a mother of pearl shirt. Let's go. The swindler. I want you to have that PED conversation with Kelly, see what he says. With Pavlik. Or with Josh. Which Kelly? Guys, are we taking Gary Cully or Lee Reeves? This is an interesting fight. Isn't Cully the guy? Guys, am I sure? Wasn't Gary Cully a well-touted prospect? Wasn't Cully fighting Shakur? Am I missing something? All right. So let's have a look. Isn't Cully the kid who was... I swear I did tape on Cully and even did a Stats Don't Lie video on him, and then the fight got called, right? Bro, a 6'2" southpaw at 140 pounds? Jesus. Bro, that's a lot to deal with. Nicknamed the Diva. 6'2" southpaw fighting at 140 pounds. He makes Alberto Puello look short at 140. 19-2. Who he gets? He lost to Maxie Hughes 2 years ago, which hasn't aged well. But Maxie's been so active, and Maxie did go on that little sneaky run where people were edging him and people were leaning on him, and then he's obviously fallen off. Not the most active guy. This will only be his second fight in 2 years. He got stopped against Jose Feliz. I don't know, guys. I got to do my work. I got to do work on this. His corner threw the Talon against Jose Feliz in the 3rd round. So what did he do? Did he just get steamrolled? That happened at home. I assume he was a favorite against the 39-6 Jose Felix. Cully down twice in the 3rd. His corner through the Talon. You guys tell me, man. Is Lee Reeves live? It sounds like Gary Cully's going to be bringing in some trauma into this fight. Well, Lee Reeves looks like Zach from Saved by the Bell. He's 31 as well. I don't know, guys. This might scream domestic dust-up. 16-1, 11 knockouts. He's 5'11". So I assume this fight's at welterweight. It looks like this fight's probably going to be a welterweight. So Reeves, Cully's listed at super light. Reeves is listed at 47. I assume Cully's going up to 47. Who did he lose to? He lost early days on points to Arthur Dadenko, 5 years. So he hasn't lost in 6 years. Who's his best win? I don't know, guys. That resume looks super suspicious to me. Unless Gary Cully is absolutely shot. That Lee Reeves resume looks suspect. 2-0, 2-9, 0-14. Let's go. 2-3. So give me some time. We got all week. I'll get to you. Guys, we're over an hour in. 91 of you savages in here. Like the video. Join our Discord. Become part of our growing JSB community. What are your thoughts on Jimenez being elevated? He got elevated. I did not know this. I'm happy for him as well. We've talked about David Jimenez. I didn't know he got elevated. Gil, you're on the front line. O'Leary is the A side. It's in Dublin. He's got the upside. Why would Warren put Joyce in with Dubois? Because he's supposed to lose, even though he's signed to him. Yeah, there has to be a winner and a loser, especially if you're running a promotional company. A-sides matter. A-sides do matter, guys, especially when we're talking about, they matter in Australia. They matter in Montreal. They matter in the UK. They pretty much matter everywhere except Zuffa. The only time you could throw out the A-side philosophy playbook is Zuffa. The guy who knocked out Steve Erceg was coming off a 12-month suspension for tremendizidine, and Norma tested positive again for the same thing. He should be. I don't know this. Damn, Erceg I didn't bet on that fight. He got knocked out again. Bad luck. I would kick him out of the sport forever. I think damn near every top athlete is some sort of gear money talks to a good doctor. Well, there's a difference with purposefully taking performance enhancing drugs, and then having super scientists on your. And I guess what is the difference, right? In modern sports medicine, the Punisher. What's up, buddy? Roach got power. Zepeda has power. Zepeda not going to stop him. Roach took tank best shots. Roach got a chin. Yes. I think Zepeda, but he can outwork him because he fights in spurts. I'm taking I love Raleigh. Johnny, who's one of your favorite fighters in boxing? I've always said Raleigh Romero. I said it before he was a champion. I said it before the tank fight when he got knocked out. I'm a Raleigh guy. I like Raleigh. I like his personality. I like that he doesn't take himself too serious. I like that he has a martial arts background. I like the fact that this dude was a highly ranked judoku amateur in America. I'm a fan of that. And yeah, I'm a fan of Raleigh, man. Even when he got his fight against Unk, when there's a bit of controversy with his fight against Unk, but then I bet against him in my breakdown. I said I'm betting against one of my favorite fighters, and I took Ryan to win, and Raleigh won. You know how bad that felt? How bad that sucked? Because it's not like Raleigh's a front runner. It's not like one of my favorite fighters is a guy who like everybody likes. So when he's the underdog and I bet against him and he wins, I'm like, what the fuck? My logic just backfired. Johnny, the cash out was good this week, and I had Jaleel Hackett by decision prolonga. You're eating then, young money. You're eating. Why didn't Shaq fight orthodox? He easily have got his foot outside and the inside. He's trying to make Zepeda look good. No way. Man, Raleigh been put to sleep twice, John. If you hit that one, I tip my hat because I vehemently disagree. When's the last time Teo looked good? You're gonna say ABJ. He looked all right against ABJ. That fight's a lot. Rewatch ABJ versus Teo. It's a lot closer than people remember. Raleigh actually can set his shots up too. Yeah, people sleep on Raleigh, man. Great timing, great power, good ring IQ, and switched on. People underestimate him, and that's why I like him. Raleigh got an ugly ass style, but he makes it work. He was beating Tank pre-knockout and schooled Ryan. Yeah, you think it's ugly? I guess I would call it. He has like an athletic style. It's like you could tell boxing wasn't his first sport. It wasn't his first martial art. You know what I'm saying? Because you could see in his physique the base he has, the balance, all of that's judo. Usyk sleeps Wilder. I'm not entertaining that. Those guys both should retire. What's up, Barium? My guy. Follow him on X. Follow him on Twitter. This dude's a beast. Zepeda on points is plus 320. That's a terrific value for leaning. Yeah. So I'm going to wait until we get more of the fights and then do a prop parlay for the boys. That is great value. Raleigh is a heavy puncher and Teo gets cut a lot. I just think Teo was special like when he was 20, 21. With a kid with that sort of skill set, super athlete, super speed, reflexes, sometimes that style falls off of a cliff. It fades, and this fight's at 147. Because he's He's not a guy who's moving up known to be a physical guy who's a big puncher. He's a guy who's technically gifted, pretty to watch when he's cooking, super athletic. I think he's there for the taking. I think Raleigh's going to impress people. Sup, Johnny? Only checking out. How you doing? Yeah, Charles Conwell's from my neighborhood. I want to see him come back. I want to see him get on the get back. I'm going to give him one more chance. I think they're putting Kroll in there with him as a fight for him to get back again. Because it wasn't that long ago where Conwell was the guy at 54. No one was saying his name. This dude did kill somebody in the ring. Rest in peace. Conwell's a big puncher. It's just that Chino Garcia fought beautifully against the ropes against Conwell. And Conwell was frustrated with Chino's sort of finesse and his craftsmanship. And you got to remember, if Conwell beats Chino that night, he fights Xander for the world title. So that's how close Conwell was. We haven't seen him since. Zepeda on points, Conwell more, Taya, Curio, moneyline. Wow. Love it. That's amazing. I have all four on separate. I have Conwell. I did a quad with just money line. It's paying plus. It's paying double your money. Conwell, Murataya, Curio, and I think I threw a Brit on there. But I like that a lot. Plus 503 is insane, bro. What are your thoughts on the Australian media handling the Zoo and Spence fight? I feel it was more favored with Errol. Not sure if it's the fact the Australian just doesn't get super. Yeah. I feel it was amazing to see how welcoming they were for Errol. He definitely deserved it. That was a beautiful thing to see, how he was welcomed into our country. And having been here for 13 years, I can say our country. I'm a resident. And the mainstream media, I understand. So like the news.com, I don't have a problem with any of that. I'm talking like local gyms, a gym that I used to train at, a gym that I used to manage fighters at. Tony had a fighter on the undercard, Del Vecchio, and is cornering his fighter on the undercard, and he's wearing a Dallas Cowboys hat, the Texas Star. All right, bro. Say less. And then everything Mundine was saying, everything that Skinny Hussein was saying, everything the bullshit Billy Dib was saying, the garbage Terrence Crawford was saying, the only one, the horse shit Porter was saying, the only one that kept it real was Paulie. Paulie the entire time. And I'm more pissed with Bud because he comes out afterwards and says the same thing we had said all week, but after. You know damn well Bud saw the same thing. But if you watch Julius J Knows Boxing's last live stream, he mentioned this. If you're bettors like us and you put your hard-earned money towards outcomes, you would know not to listen to fighters. You wouldn't. Because they're going to be biased for one reason or another. They're going to be pick their guy for one reason or another, and they don't give a shit about you bettors. But you have, we'll never know the number, but I get millions were lost because casuals and loyalists were listening. Bud said it. What do you don't know more than Bud? You think Bud's wrong? Bud said it. Billy Dib said it. Where's your world titles at? Billy said it. All right, bro. That's what we're going to do then? All right, go bet. What do I always say in my breakdowns? Afterwards, in the comment section, we'll circle the wagon. I'll see you guys after the fight. All I respond, because the Errol casuals were so disingenuous and so uneducated with their reasoning, the only comment they got back from me, dummy, 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 dummy. I'm usually not that mean. I like that. Berlanga is a cool dude. That fight got me last night. I've always had a special place in my heart for Berlanga. Eddie Baggs. I said all week, if Eddie Baggs couldn't beat Butler, we were all in trouble. We knew it was going to be a roller coaster ride. We knew it was going to have the ebbs and flows. But he got it done for us. That's all we could do. We just win and move on. You know what I'm saying? As bettors. Maybe both guys had fought Shakur take the win. Money line double. Get it. I comment periodically, but day one sell. I appreciate you, brother. That's why I referenced that, because I thought I recognized the Wisher bit. Appreciate you, big dog. You must ain't seen them New York comebacks. No, I thought you weren't even a New York fan, mate. You said you weren't even a Knicks fan. Most watched finals since Jordan and the Jazz. That's what you call excitement. No, I watched it. I mean, the Spurs, the Knicks. Would the craziest stat in sporting? I love stats. You guys know that. What's the stat? Let me find it. Okay. This, in my opinion, is one of the craziest stats in sports history. The Knicks won the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs. What do you guys think the total amount of minutes throughout the entire series that the Knicks were up? 56 minutes. They were only leading 24% of the game, and they won 4-1. What the fuck? They were only leading, it only went 5 games. They were only leading 24% of the game, less than one quarter. So they lost more than 75% of every game, and they won the series 4-1. What do you make of that? You know what we call that? We call that an epic collapse from San Antonio. We call that shit in the bed. My college baseball coach used to say the assholes are puckering. You see that team on the other side of the dugout? Look at them. It's a big game. Their assholes are puckering over there. What the fuck is he talking about? It's a bit of a weird analogy, but yeah, that's what you call that. When you're leading an NBA Finals 76% of the time and you lose 4-1, you got some soul searching to do. Just want to say as well, you're the man, Johnny. One of the only few guys that got this Zeus Spence fight all right from the jump. The body language of Arrow retirement. Look, Christos, man, team effort. I appreciate you. It was good meeting you in person. It was good to put a face and a voice on the tag, man. You're a beast. I appreciate the support. Look, I wasn't trying to be special about it, and I was hesitant about sharing it initially. The Arrow breakdown. I was hesitant because I knew what was coming. Because I dealt with the Arrow fans in 2023. And so after I posted the first, dude, they came after me in 2023, and I knew they were going to come back again. And they came back in full force. It was like 3 years of waiting. They came back. And so I didn't have it took me like a couple days to have the confidence to double down with the content and the narrative. But once I posted the first short of the breakdown of what I was looking at, the neurological damage, I was like, all right, stand 10 toes down. Just own it, stand on business, let it play out. And so, yeah, it's just what I saw, man. And I'm never, no one gets all of their takes right, but I'm never going to give you, I'm going to try my best to never give you an emotional take. I'm going to try, I try my best to not break stuff down emotionally. That's why you'll never hear me, this motherfucker's going to get knocked out. That dude's a fucking boom. You never hear me talk like that. I do my best to hold myself to a certain standard about both sides of the fence. I don't call fighters bums. I don't call fighters trash. I don't, I do my best to, and I think that the sport, like we owe that to the sport. And so even when you do that, they'll come for you, but it's the game that we play. Felt that way. Shadesha Green last fight. Yes. Where's Shadesha Green fight? Yeah, I think the Callum Simpson one though, that weekend we were like hitting I think the Shadesha Green weekend for me at least was kind of a 50-50, but it wasn't that big of a stunner for me. I lost a ticket, but I had Callum on multiple tickets. And I think maybe because Shadesha Green fight happened months after, I had changed my strategy of betting because of Callum Simpson. I had stopped because you know what's going to happen again. I'd stopped taking guys who were 4 to 5-1 favorites, and I stopped putting them on multiple parlays. So what I think I've gotten better at is laying out the table, setting the dinner table, like what we're doing now, looking at the odds, beginning of the week, doing film study, and then as the fight props open up to us, we're setting the table with all of the food that we have to sort of pick and choose from. And then where I've gotten better at is making sure that I don't get burned on more than one ticket with like a 5-1 favorite. And I learned a lot through I had Callum Simpson on like 4 tickets, and he was only paying like $1.14. I was like, that ain't happening again. So that's when I started doing things a bit differently. Always still giving plus, every ticket's always plus money, but I stopped getting greedy. You know, if I'm getting a plus 380 on like a 4-legger, I used to throw the plus 114 to make it plus 410, you know, rather than just eat with the plus 380. So it really comes down to learning experiences. Simpson being the favorite in the rematch is hilarious. Shows how much the bookies are favoring the political advantage. Tevin won. Yeah, Tevin fought well. Tevin lost a lot of close fights in his career. I'm a Tevin Farmer fan. Full transparency, I picked Tevin to beat Floyd. We know what happened. I'm glad to see Tevin fought a couple months ago. Tevin's world class, man. He's really good. Nakia got stopped by Ja, but he's a dog that will fight for your money. He has a 6-inch height advantage over Mason, a large reach advantage, and power advantage. And there's going to be that domestic rivalry between Kiwis and Aussies. Isn't Floyd an Aussie? I should know this. Bury him. I know Nakia is a Kiwi. Floyd's isn't he a Bridgerweight? Or I'm thinking of David Trzewski. Trzewski? The event is based around Nakia in New Zealand. Minus 3 makes him a solid parlay piece. Hey, man, I'm listening, bro. I'm all ears. Zepeda's volume. What about his defense? Well, Zepeda's defense is going to Zepeda's defense is an outcome of his offense. So you don't really see him get hit clean too much. You know what I mean? And so he's always moving. He's a swarmer. He's not a stationary target. He's not going to stand there like Tim Zoo. People do have off nights. Callum Simpson, what's up, Johnny? Samurai the Cat, haven't seen you in a while, big dog. Clear counter-punching styles. Are you shocked by how close the lines are? Ammo Nikki, I love Ammo. I know Ammo isn't elite, but Nikki isn't on his level. That's a gift. I haven't looked at the lines yet. Ammo's grown on me. Like, I think I mentioned this earlier. Sometimes in an ass beating, it's a career-defining psychological scar. We saw that. We're seeing this with Timmy. He's only 31. I'm still hoping he could pull through it. I don't know if he can. We'll see. I think Ammo is built a certain way that because he was coming like there were moments. Granted, he got his ass beat, and there were moments where like his mouth is bloody. It looked like his jaw had an injury, but he never quit on himself. It's you know what I mean. He was having his moments late. He wasn't winning rounds. But there was, because I was an Adamas, I bet on Adamas, and I think I got him at $1.26, and we took points at like plus 320. It's always a sweat. And I remember thinking, like, damn, Ammo is still dangerous. He's getting his ass beat, and he's still dangerous. So it just tells you psychologically, because early on in his career, you'd even hear from him and his coaches that, they wanted to work on his mental side. I don't rate Melnicki. I don't rate his gears. I don't rate his versatility. I don't think he's world level. I'm not going to so much call him manufactured by the game, but Ammo is battle tested. Are we talking we're getting Ammo? Are we really saying we're getting Ammo at plus money? Or is that what you're telling me? Because if this is the case, okay. I mean, I still might jump. When is this fight? Shout out to Barium with the eyes. My man got an eye forward, eyes ahead. Okay, so after this chat, like, that is great value. Dude, say what you will about Ammo Williams, about his shortcomings in the ring. That kid is an athlete. That kid has a set of nuts on him. That kid is battle tested. He's picked himself off the canvas before. He's been in there with world champions before. I can't say any of that about Bill Nicky. I think Austin Williams is going to go and show out. I love Austin in this matchup, man. This fight wasn't even on my radar. Core beating Teo is better than Core beating Zepeda. Okay. Zepeda Shakur showed he can fight Zepeda fight and outskill him. On paper, the Teo win is better, but I think Zepeda is the better win. Bet on Roach. Roach will win. He'll counter Zepeda all night. Samurai! If Roach can't beat Zepeda, he's not the boxer you think he is. See, dude, Zepeda's a beast, guys. Watch his tape. Like, Zepeda is a lot to deal with. Like, I don't know, man. Johnny read my mind. Sims versus Barbosa Jr. all over again in terms of the event. I think there's parallels, boys. I think we're trying to find patterns here. Sims said he had a cramp. Sims said he had a cramp in his leg. Well, Kenny does suffer from sickle cell anemia. He's spoken openly about this. And as a pro athlete, especially in a cardio-based sport like boxing, for him to be at the world level, it's just a testament to how good Kenny Sims Jr. is. Because in other sports, I think it was Ryan Clark, who was a Pro Bowl caliber defensive back for Pittsburgh. He had to retire a bit early because of sickles. I know he couldn't travel to Denver when the Steelers would play the Broncos because of the elevation and the risks that the elevation would play on certain like potential blood clotting. But yeah, I've always been a Kenny Sims Jr. fan. He lives with sickle cell anemia, which is horrible for your immune system, especially when you're, could you imagine being a pro athlete and having to deal with it? I don't think neither one of the dudes are the fighters people think they are. Both B-level. Roach lost it. Jamel still hasn't faced that side. Jamel Herring's former world champion, man. Don't be hating on Jamel Herring, boy. Jamel Herring, Team USA, let's go. You guys have nice revisionist history. You guys pick and choose who you like. Come on, dude. At one time, Jamel Herring was the man, dude. Stop. Roach will win. Zepeda's style is great for Roach. He's a great counterpuncher. I don't think. I think you guys, because he was catching shooting with Tank in the pocket, you think he's a great counterpuncher? I don't know, man. I think Roach is a guy who thinks he punches a little. I think Roach is a guy who thinks he punches a little harder than he really does, actually. Zepeda lacks power. Zepeda is more skillful than Pitbull, but Zepeda lacks power. That's what kept Pitbull in the fight. Cully got knocked out by the Mexican. Yeah, from what I've seen so far, Sal, I might not be betting on that Cully fight. Where's the Dev, 9th round? Roach. The boys are already torn. Reeves has literally fought no one, but funny enough, he can still win this fight. Cully is a disgraceful clown. No chin, no heart. You guys are hilarious. What's going on, Johnny? How do you connect? What's up, Boxing Jesse? Just simply sign. You can sign up on the channel. You can either sign up on YouTube to become a VIP. The link is in the comments, or it's on my YouTube channel. It says join. Once you join, you get access to the Discord. Zuffa doesn't give a rat's fuck about bros. They don't. Zuffa don't give a fuck about manufacturing a prospect. They don't got time for all that. They could care less about your young prospect. Oh, you got a nice little young prospect, 6-0. Cool, I got something for you. They'll give him like a 18-3 Mexican vet, like a 26-year-old 18-3 guy. How's he deals? Let's see how he deals with this guy. And you're like, God damn, it's a bit much for a guy with 6 fights. 9th round. You guys are getting specific. How could you be so specific? It's going to be the 9th round. Zepeda has 1 loss. Lost on points to the best defensive fighter on the planet. Never been stopped. Has a 90% knockout to win ratio. He's the bigger guy. Roach is the guy who cut his teeth at 30. Zepeda is going to be the taller guy. Roach averages 40 punches a round. Zepeda averages close to 100 punches a round. Zepeda is the A side, Golden Boy card, and you guys are saying Roach 9th round knockout. That's insane. I joined late. I like Zepeda at plus money. Frank was up 6-2 before he got knocked out. But you got to understand Tank's style, though. It's not that Frank was up 6-2, and Frank didn't get stopped in the ninth. Let me fact check that. And if you're right, Dev, shout out, big dog. It's just off jump. Was it the ninth? Eighth. Okay, I'll still give it to you. I'll still give it to you. I thought it was the seventh. So, but that doesn't. That's how Tank fights. I don't know if he was up 6-2. I don't think that was the case. Tank usually, dare I say, give a couple rounds away. He's watching what you're doing. He's reading what you're doing. He's setting traps. He's a brilliant boxing mind in there. You don't have to like him. You don't have to cheer for him. I'm not a Tank fan, but you can't hate on what he does or how he operates. Very, very, very high level boxing mind in there. It's one of my favorite things he does as a boxer. You could tell he grew up in the ring. You don't see a lot of fighters in modern boxing set traps anymore. Tank is brilliant at setting traps. Tank is brilliant at putting you in a position where he wants you to be in and then making you pay for it. He's also brilliant with making you think that you're comfortable in there. He's brilliant with making you think that you're safe in there, and you're not, because you walked right into his trap. And that Frank knockout started in the second round. Go watch the second round. Go watch the end of the second round. There's about 10 seconds left. Frank is exiting right against the ropes. They square up. Tank feints like this with a foot feint. And Frank bit. And Tank winked at him and pointed. He's like, I got you. He knew he had him. He was biting that heavy on foot feints in the second. And then he set that trap up. And then the eighth, it was all she wrote. Yeah, I'm not a Tank fan, but come on, man. Tank is not a one-trick pony. You can't just say he's a puncher. That dude is a high-level operator in the ring. Does amazing things. Does things that a lot of fighters don't do. And they call me a Tank hater, by the way, because I'm not a fanboy. But I'm a fan of the sport, and I've been around the sport my whole life. When you watch Tank with his setups, dude's brilliant. Raleigh by TKO can cause a cut. T gets cut. I just don't know if you want to bet Teofimolopez is the favorite. You're betting on Teo as the favorite at 147 after he just looked god-awful, granted, against the best defensive fighter of his generation. But Shakur Shakur bullied him, too. Teo's not that big, and he's not a big puncher. And the fight's at 147. I think Raleigh looks great in this fight. Past your prime, Mateo's age is crazy. Hopefully, you can. I mean, think about what it happens. Wilfred Benitez. Wilfred Benitez was a world champion at 17 years old. Puerto Rican New York legend, world champion at 17 years old. And then by the time he was 26, 25, he was done. Look at smaller weight fighters. This is the thing. They're hitting their prime way early because they're relying on speed and reflexes. It's the first thing to go as we get older as men. So if you're in these lighter weight classes and you're one of these fast, twitchy guys, you're not relying on power or you're not relying on like world-class technique, as you get older, you're either going to have to change your style or your career is going to be cut short. A great example of this is Roy at a heavier weight class. Who you got here, O'Leary? I got O'Leary. I like O'Leary here. I might play Morataya knockout. I mean, Danger Morataya, man. Kid's a dog. The work he's been doing with Robert. Great win against Andy. I'm an Andy Cruz fan. I thought that was a close fight. I thought Cruz won that fight. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a bitter better. Maybe because I took Cruz on points. I did leave the Morataya fight saying, wow, this is the best version I've ever seen Morataya. He had leveled up. He was better than I remember. So I thought it could have went either way. I thought Cruz was doing better work late. Morataya was the more optically aggressive guy. Determined style. Young, hungry, confident. He's a fun champ. So I'm not getting props yet. I think Johnny going to change that one. Fresh VX is crazy. Raleigh been beat several times, and the dudes he lost to, I got Teo being hypothetically. Tank is 50. You think Teo and Tank is 50-50? Guys, Teo, I think, okay, I'm not, there's no reason to, we can't, what are we arguing for, right? What are we going to argue for? Yeah, bro, my heart was with Spence. Zoo worked him out. Zoo didn't look good either, though, boys. I mentioned them because of excitement, the best sport in the world, not because I'm a New York fan. Let's go. Zepeda plus Roach, Gary Cully, Lee Reeves. We talked about this earlier. Gary Cully, Lee Reeves, the odds are 50-50. The fight's at 147. Cully's listed as a super lightweight. Cully's 6'2". They're both 31 years old. Lee Reeves is listed at 5'11". Cully got steamrolled by a Mexican guy, towel thrown in the third. But then when you look at Lee Reeves' resume, he hasn't fought anyone. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm excited to bet on that fight. Mason got that gas tank and punch output. There he is. Just needs Zepeda, Alir, and Connor Ben. Connor Ben to beat Ryan. You think that? Good luck on that one. I don't know how it's. I've been winning money on Connor Ben. This, we got him at plus money in the second fight against Eubank. So he hit for us for a dog. Points, money line play against Regis. I don't know. It's hard for me to bet. This, yeah. Personally, I still don't like. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, the Garcia Haney fight. And so, and then how Garcia looked against Raleigh, and then how Garcia took his foot off the gas tank against Barrios. I don't know. I haven't thought about that fight yet. Don't let Gary Soper your weekend. He's working for the sports. Who's Gary Scupper? I don't know who that is. PBK gonna need the plastic surgeon. Dude, it was the headbutts and the elbows. Agarco was like Harlem Eubank 2.0. Super athletic, running in, crashing in, headbutting, and yeah, it was a tough fight to watch. Another disingenuous commentary experience is that it was clear and evident through replays that Agarco wasn't landing anything significantly to cut Josh. They were all headbutts and elbows that you could see that the corners and refs are talking about. And Josh was getting super. How frustrated do you think you'd get? And then now there's like a weird narrative that Josh got beat up against the Garco. It's like no points were taken. Yeah, that fight was hard to watch. I told you Kelly versus Boots will be the fight. You know what's even interesting? Kelly versus Nikita Zoo. Nikita versus Ben Mahoney. I rate Nikita. Nikita has a fan-friendly style, TV style, aggressive. Nikita's a lot slicker than people give him credit for. Nikita, from fight to fight, is adding levels to his game. I've known about Ben Monty for a decade. Extensive fight career. Smooth boxer, uses the entire ring. Slick in there. He's going to be on his bike the entire time. He's kind of like a domestic. He tries to be at times in terms of using the entire ring and being a slickster at times. Kind of like, I don't want to compare him to anyone, but I think if Nikita cuts the ring off and gets Ben Monty to fight his fight, I'd take Nikita by stoppage. A clapping seal. What's up, Alex? I don't know what that is. You going heavy on ammo. We got a month. Shout out to Barry Unboxing for giving me a heads up on that fight. It was not on my radar. And I really like ammo. Give me 1 second, boys. Can you do 4:30 today? Are you training today? Luis, where you been at? Let's go. Guys, we've been on an hour and 45 minutes. There's 92 of you in here. Just like the video for me. Rudy. Tank's volume isn't high like Zepeda's. I don't see Roach successfully catching and shooting. Exactly. he'll try it but get overwhelmed. I'm thinking distance. That's the thing. I've watched Roach's career. For me to have watched Roach's career and never thought to myself until the Tank fight. It wasn't until the Tank fight I was like, holy shit, dude, this kid could catch and shoot. Like that was only, like, for me at least, like, I don't want to say it was a new thing because I'm sure you'll watch his tape and he's looking for it. But Tank fought like flat-footed in the middle, and he chose to fight him that way. And so Roach was skilled enough to fight Tank's fight. I think Tank was probably impressed with Roach's hand speed. Roach has great timing. And so in order to fight that fight, though, you're going to have to play that game. Zepeda doesn't play that game. Zepeda's like a snowball rolling downhill. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a stationary object to where, or like a swinging door. My coach used to say, like, don't get caught in the trap. Like you get caught in somebody's rhythm. Boom, counter, boom, counter. Like Zepeda's not playing that game. You know what I'm saying? So what's Roach gonna do? Wait to counter him once and out angle him, and then what's he gonna, like? I don't know, man. My instinct says Zepeda plus money is the play. I'm late to the combo. What's your favorite pick for Lamont? Zepeda money line. Yeah, Zepeda's up 3. Zepeda's up 30-27. Somebody just said it'd be crazy if there's another draw, and you know the boys are gonna play the draw. You know what's up, Legendary Jackson? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you play the? I mean, for the sake of the boys, you got to sprinkle on the draw. I think Zuffa is the best promotion in the game. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. It's been a learning experience over the last 6 months. They're entertaining, for sure. I'm excited for the shows. And more importantly, you get to learn about newer fighters. I was talking about this last week on my live, is that I generally think that if I don't, our community has our ear on the pulse of like the American domestic scene. I keep you guys connected to the Aussie domestic scene. Barium Boxing keeps us connected to the women's scene and Japanese boxing. We got UK fighters in our Discord, and guys who are sharps in the UK who keep us up to date on the British and UK domestic scene. So when I see a guy like Tony Hirsch Jr. that I didn't know existed from Oakland, California, I'm like, who the hell? This freaking kid is really good. Not only in that first fight when she was a 7-1 dog against Merriweather, where he beat him everywhere. He didn't just, like, it wasn't like he overwhelmed him. He outboxed him. He was better than him. He was quicker than him. He was more skilled than him. His footwork was better than him. His timing was better. How does that get past us? Right? How do you miss it? But then that just has to make you think, how many more Tony Hirsch Juniors are out there that we don't know of that aren't getting opportunities? And then he goes up against a guy who fought on that same card in Benito, who had knockout of the night, and Hirsch steamrolled him and made him look super domestic. And it's like, that's my favorite thing about Zuffa, is being introduced to guys that are really good that I didn't know who they were. And we know a lot of guys. Tony Hirsch Jr., if you don't know who that guy is, put an asterisk by his name. Well coached, disciplined, well rounded. How did he get past? Like, how did he get under our radar? Shout out to Zuffa for finding that kid. He blew me away. Both times watching him, like, he's doing things in the ring that are super seasoned. And I don't even think he's at his full potential yet. Because in order to get to your full potential with that well-rounded skill set, confidence, with each win, he's getting more confident with his introduction to the world and his social media following growing. The confidence is coming, but that confidence is going to add even another layer to his game. So Zuffa does that as well. How did you pick your UFC picks? I picked them. I've been watching UFC since 1993. I've been interviewing MMA fighters over almost 2 decades. I watch every UFC card. At one time, I used to do a lot of just MMA only content. My favorite fights of the UFC in the modern era go back to like 2004 when a 21-year-old Nick Diaz fought a 20-year-old Robbie Lawler. And one of the craziest knockouts you'll see, both guys end up becoming legends. Or you watch a 19-year-old Nick Diaz in Pride FC's first ever American event fight Takanori Gomi, a Japanese legend, the Fireball Kid. No one really even knew who Nick Diaz was at the time, and he beat him. Takanori Gomi was a freaking superstar. He would pack out the Japanese super arena, 100,000 people, and they bring the Pride over for the first time to the States, and a young, fresh, babyface Nick Diaz submits him. So I go way back, man. I picked the UFC picks just how I pick boxing. I grew up in combat sports. I've written too. I'm a published author, so I reference that because in both of my books, former world champions I've interviewed. My old roommate was a UFC fighter, so I don't focus on the UFC content as much anymore. We're boxing focused, but I watch all the fights, and I got an eye for that. I've been betting on UFC since jump. People say Roach is going to follow shoot. Yeah, he can't. People who are saying that really don't quite understand boxing. Lamont Roach is not Shakur Stevenson. He doesn't have the feet. I feel like Zepeda versus Roach fight is going to be similar to Shakur versus Zepeda. No, they're different style. Roach doesn't have the feet. It was a money glitch last night. FanDuel had Richard hit fight plus. Get out of here. No. Did you take advantage of it? Y'all cats. Did you take advantage of it? Top notch. You're doing a great job. Thank you. I appreciate your support, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Guys, we're approaching 2 hours. You guys like the long live streams. There's 100 of you in here. Like the video. If you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Join the Discord. We got a lot of fights to talk about. We're still riffing. We're kind of, you guys should be doing your film study. A lot of the questions are on Zepeda Roach. Charles Conwell returns this weekend. The Golden Boy card has a lot of decent fights on it. Let me send a message. Can you train to 4:30 today? I'll get back to you in a second. I'll get back. Fuck it. I'm gonna say yeah. Lock it in. Dude, the live streams are growing, man. I'm sure some of you guys in here remember when there'd be like 4 of us. And shout out to I know Jay's probably not in here, but Julius, the sniper. Jay Knows Boxing. Follow him on YouTube. He's one of our boys. And if any of you guys out there who feel that you could do what I do, just get started. If you love boxing, if you have a mind for it and you really love it, and that's your whole goal is that you love boxing, you want to, tell your story about the sport, give your take on what you see, create, do it. Because we need more people who know what they're talking about. We need more people who are doing it for the love of the game. But looking at 100 people in here 2 hours in, I remember there was 4 people. 100 is crazy to me. I know it's nothing in the, people, 1,000, 2,000, but I don't care about viewers. But my point was, if you're out there and you're just starting like Jay or, wherever you are and you're putting content out, don't let the amount of subscribers deter you from what you want to do. Don't let the amount of people watching deter you, the amount of likes. Always focus on your intention, the love of the game. Trust me on that. Love you, boys. See you in the Discord, boys. I'm going to lock it up soon. Jeez, these lives used to have 40. We're at 100. We're growing, Beastie. We're growing. We're growing, brother. Zepeda's volume could cause trouble. Guys, I'm going to be uploading my Stats Don't Lie video tomorrow of the breakdown, both paths to victory for Zepeda and Roach, my official prediction. Make sure you hit notifications on the channel. Shakur's top 100%. Shakur's top 5 pound for pound.